I like saying that Groovy is really targeted for the enterprise developers because, well, that's true. And, well, our background is in Java. So Groovy is really in Java land. Groovy is Java-like. You've got a syntax which is pretty close to Java, and it's very easy to learn it because in the beginning you can almost cut and paste any piece of Java code in your Groovy scripts, and yeah, they just run. There are a few exceptions, of course, but as you learn Groovy, you start to use a few features like closures, like those literals for maps, lists, regular expressions, and over time your knowledge of Groovy increases with a nice learning curve. There's no big barrier of entry. It's very easy to learn Groovy. And the fact that the language and its syntax are quite malleable makes Groovy a nice language even for beginners in Java or in Groovy and domain experts. If you manage to have actuaries in an insurance company, if you have them write Groovy code, well, it's probably that the syntax is quite neat for writing such business rules. And all those features, those nice syntax nuggets make it, and all the meta-programming facilities make Groovy a nice language for writing really specific languages, derivatives from Groovy, domain-specific languages for writing business rules and such. Also, the fact that it seamlessly integrates with Java is really a key aspect of the language, because you can mix and match Groovy and Java. So if there are some parts of your application which are better written in Java for any reason, feel free to do so. You can just mix and match Groovy and Java together. So there's no impedance mismatch, And we are using the same object model, the same security model, the same threading model. So there's no new concept really to grasp, except all the new features that we've been adding in the language. But in the end, it's just the same string, the same regular expressions, the same underlying APIs. You don't have to learn whole new APIs like different kind of collections. No, it's just the Java collections, that's all. We've added some sugar around that, like categories of methods that we've added to the JDK classes, new methods on strings or on files or whatever. But under the hood, it's just the Java APIs that you are using. But it means that you can very easily reuse all the jars that you've built over time for your internal projects. You can reuse them very easily, no problem. And you can just deploy Groovy and Grails applications in your usual application servers. It's just a WAR that you're going to deploy. You don't have to train your teams of DBAs or administrators and so on. You protect your investment because you don't have to invest in new servers. You don't have to invest into rewriting many of your existing libraries. And since Java developers as well as beginners can learn Groovy pretty easily, you also protect your investment in training that you did for your Java developers. So it's a nice way to protect your investment, actually. So what's new in 1.1? So I said we released the first release candidate, and next month we are going to release 1.1, the final release. Very important focus was put on Java 5 features because, well, all those frameworks like Spring Hibernate and so on, they are using annotations, generics, and so on. So we really wanted to integrate well with those frameworks. It's very important. And after all, if Groovy is seamlessly integrated with Java, then it just makes sense to support all these new Java features. We've also improved our meta-programming capabilities, especially thanks to the contributions from Graham, from the Grails project. So we've got some nice nuggets in 1.1. And we also focused on performance. We've got some nice improvements there as well. And there are a few little niceties like the old for loop. We didn't support the old for loop. We brought it back into the language. And a few other things I won't detail here. So speaking about annotations, generics, enums, Groovy, well, apart from Java of course, is really the sole and only dynamic language of the JVM that supports these features. So if you need to use annotations, if you need to use generics or enums because you've integrated Spring or Hibernate or whatever framework that leverages those Java 5 features, well, you don't have a choice. You have to use Groovy, of course. So yeah, JPA annotations or the @transactional annotation in Spring, or if you want to leverage JUnit for TestNG, Google Joys, and many other frameworks, Groovy is definitely the best choice you can make. Yeah, I mentioned the Groovy Eclipse plugin already. So you have syntax highlighting, you've got code completion, you can step debug into your code. It's pretty nice. And the IntelliJ IDEA plugin goes even a bit further because there's also support for Grails, which is not in the Eclipse plugin currently. And there are some nice code navigation features, refactoring supports, and all the things you are used to in a modern Java IDE. You can use them in IntelliJ IDEA. And by the way, congratulations for the release of 7.0. It's a nice achievement as well. It looks like, October is the right period for releases. Yeah, I will list a few sessions you shouldn't miss. Really, it's hard to select a few ones because personally I would like to attend all the Groovy sessions, but well, there are those interviews and things like that. I can't miss, So I mentioned Scott's success story using Groovy in an insurance company. Domain-specific languages taught by me. Shameless plug. Nice talk on unit testing mock objects by Dirk Koenig, main author of Groovy in Action. I mentioned Eugene's session on the nice plugin that JetBrains worked on, and also I listed Paul Fremantle's Making SOA Groovy. Who could have thought that SOA could be Groovy? Okay, so just enjoy the conference. Don't hesitate to come to us to talk about whatever you want. Any questions are welcome, or if you want to hire us for your own project, don't hesitate. Well, just enjoy the conference. Thanks a lot for your attention. Now I let Graham speak. Thanks.